Charlie, why are you dressed up like a fairy?
Nana furrowed her brows, like two gray caterpillars resting in confusion over the rim of her glasses.
Nana, I'm Star Child. You know, I want to rock and roll all night and party every day.
I motioned at the face paint and the leather outfit. How could she not know who Kiss was?
I don't know what you're talking about, sweetie, but it's not appropriate for Easter. God wouldn't like that outfit. You look like a fairy.
She shook her head in disapproval.
Nana, it's Halloween, not Easter. And calling someone a fairy really isn't okay anymore. Did you take your meds?
She didn't answer and stared off into space, softly humming a church hymn.
Whatever,
I groaned, making my way to the back door.
Charlie, don't forget curfew this time.
My mother called from somewhere deep within the house.
Yeah, got it, Mom.
I rolled my eyes as I slid through the screen door and down the porch steps. Streetlights splashed a yellow gloss across the asphalt as herds of children in costumes flooded the streets. Orange and brown leaves spun in circles across the ground as a cool breeze rolled in from the south. Laughter filled the air as kids jumped and twirled in between doorbells. A part of me missed that age, the thrill of trick-or-treating and staying up late to stuff my face with candy corn. But another part of me was glad it was over. I had more adult things on my mind for this evening. I couldn't run in my platform boots, but I sped-walked faster than any soccer mom could ever dream of as I made my way across the neighborhood to Eric Plyer's house. My calves were on fire, but after a few minutes, it was totally worth it. Deadmau5 pulsed from inside as neon lights spilled out of the windows onto the lawn. Some other kids that I recognized from school were making out on the patio. I made my way into the foyer through the entanglement of bodies and mounds of discarded red Solo cups. A sea of risque costumes writhed in the living room as EDM raged through the speakers. It was a fantastical dance floor made of shag rug and floral wallpaper. The outdated house came alive tonight. The energy was electrifying, and I felt its current twist its way through my veins like a drug. I slipped my way into the fray of flesh and danced like I never had before. My limbs twirled in a frenzy as the bass rattled my teeth. This went on for hours. By the time I came down from my buzz, most of the people had left the party. A few girls gossiped on the sofa, and there was a jock passed out on the kitchen floor just outside the den. Other than that, the house was about empty. What time is it? I looked at the grandfather clock by the staircase. 11:46 p.m. Oh, I missed curfew by almost an hour. Oh man, she was going to kill me. I broke out into a trot and burst through the front door and down the porch steps. I was partially down the street when I heard someone call out to me.
Charlie, wait up!
Eric Plyers jogged after me, his alien costume jiggling comically.
Hey Eric. Great party. I had so much fun, but I really gotta get home. I'm out past curfew and my mom is going to be so pissed. Oh, well, I just wanted to tell you thanks for coming. I enjoyed hanging out with you.
He beamed at me for a moment, but then his smile quickly faltered.
What's wrong? You know that guy?
He pointed over my shoulder.
What? Who?
I spun around. At first, I didn't see him, but then I spotted him standing behind a streetlight. He was freakishly tall and thin enough to hide most of his body behind the lamppost. Only his shoulders and head stood out from behind it. His neck was craned, and I could tell he was watching us, even though he had on what looked to be a Japanese Oni mask. Large golden horns curled out from the black snarling face of a demon. I'd seen something similar in an anime before.
Can I help you?
I shouted. I spun around to face Eric.
Seriously, what's with this guy?
I asked, throwing up my hands.
I don't know, what a creep.
I turned my head to look over my shoulder, but the man was gone.
What the hell?
I paced in a circle, scanning the area. I didn't see him anywhere.
Well, the creepy dweeb must have taken off.
A giggle was caught in my throat as I turned to Eric to see the tall man with his hand around his throat, pulling Eric tightly against his body. Eric choked and thrashed against the man, his face purple with spit bubbling at the corners of his mouth.
Whoa! Hey!
I cried, backpedaling away from them with my hands up.
We were just joking. You're totally not a creep. Please, let him go.
I pleaded. The man said nothing. He only stared at me with icy gray eyes beneath the mask.
Just let him go and leave us alone. We won't tell anyone.
I didn't know what to say. I just wanted it to stop. Silence. Eric had gone limp. He had lost consciousness, or worse. The Oni man suddenly tightened his grip so hard that I heard a snap.
Oh my God!
I screamed. I took off sprinting as fast as I could, clomping in my platform boots like a Clydesdale through the streets.
Help! Someone help!
I hollered, but the once busy neighborhood was dead asleep. I couldn't call the police. My mother had taken my cell phone when I'd broken curfew a week ago. I ran and ran. My lungs were on fire. My legs were weak and wobbly. I didn't look over my shoulder until I was rounding the corner of my street. The Oni man stood behind another lamppost, not 30 yards behind me. The light glinted off his golden horns, and this time he was waving at me. Tears rolled down my face as I galloped further down the sidewalk. I was almost to my house when I tripped over my boots and face planted onto the concrete. My mouth filled with blood from where I'd chipped my teeth. I spit out the shards and a mouthful of blood as I scrambled back to my feet. The man was close. I could hear his footsteps just behind me, but I didn't dare look back. I darted through the yard and into the house, slamming the door and locking it behind me.
Charlie, is that you? You're late again.
My mom shouted while descending the staircase.
Mom, call the cops.
I screeched.
What? Why? What's happened?
She scrambled down the steps and into the living room.
Oh my God, what happened to your face?
She grabbed the sides of my cheeks to examine the damage.
Don't worry about that, Mom. Damn, call the police.
I yelled.
What's going on, Charlie? Are you on drugs? No, Mom, the man in the mask, he killed Eric, and he's after me.
I whimpered.
What are you talking about? Who is Eric? Who is after you?
Her voice was high-pitched and panicky. Before I had a chance to answer, I heard a window shatter in the study. My mother quickly crossed the room, her pink bathrobe billowing behind her.
No, Mom, don't go in there!
I cried, but it was too late. The tall man emerged from the doorway and slammed her against the wall. She cried out in pain as he wrapped his hands around her neck and slammed her again and again. I fell to my knees as her body smashed through the drywall, cracking the wooden studs beneath. She crumpled to the floor in a heap after he was done. Blood pooled around her head, matting her blonde hair to the hardwood. The Oni man turned to face me. The same steely gaze shone through the eye holes in the demon mask. There was no emotion there. He was the void, and I was to be consumed by it, one way or another. This is it. This is where I die. The thought bounced around my skull like static. Just before his hands reached me, an explosion rang out just over my head, sending the man tumbling backward. My ears rang and the whole world slowed down. I watched as he struggled to stand, but before he did, another blast tore through his chest. He didn't get up that time. I turned to look behind me.
The devil never stood a chance on Easter, Charlie. Always remember that.
Nana stood at the bottom of the staircase, smoke drifting from the barrel of her shotgun. I ran to her and wrapped my arms around her shoulders, sobbing.
It's all right, son. It's all right.
She patted my back after dropping her gun to the floor. Mom was in a coma for a week, but ended up pulling through without any permanent damage. We had called an ambulance just in time, the paramedics had said. They were able to get her in for surgery before her brain had swelled too far. Eric hadn't been so fortunate. His neck had been broken, and he'd been deprived of oxygen for too long. Nana and I attended his funeral a few days later. It was a beautiful service. The entire school had shown up. As for the Oni man, well, he had lived somehow despite all the buckshot he'd taken. The police had him in custody at the hospital, but claimed he was mute. He never said a word. They also couldn't find anything on his fingerprints in the system. It was like he didn't exist. Before they could sort it all out, he had escaped. The officer that was supposed to watch the room was on indefinite leave for allowing him to slip away. It was all over the news. A patrol car sat outside our house every night for months, just to be safe. But I never felt at ease walking the neighborhood again. I couldn't stop looking at the lamppost, waiting. waiting to see those horns glowing in the streetlight, to see him watching, to see him waving. Also, it turns out that most of you guys who watch me aren't actually subscribed. So if you like the content and want to support the channel, go ahead and hit the bell. It's free, and you can always change your mind later. Halloween was a living hell, and I was its sole resident. I used to love the holiday, trick-or-treating with friends, dressing as a zombie as we jammed out to punk rock on a friend's porch late into the night, sneaking cigarettes and nips of bourbon from our fathers. But now I mopped the floors of Sutton's grocery. The wet tile reflected my 5 o'clock shadow and the melancholy that lived within it. No more trick-or-treating, just 2 dead mice and a spilled cup of pumpkin spice. Adulting was so much fun. This gap year in between high school and college wasn't really working out. I regretted the decision in the very depths of my soul. At least I had Gemma. I'd be back to the trailer soon. The thought of her baking brownies and nothing but an apron did put a little pep in my step.
You done yet, Kyle?
Old man Kirby bellowed from the front entrance as he twirled his key ring.
Yeah, yes sir. Just finishing up with the floors and I'm out of here.
I hollered.
All right, I'm leaving, boy. I'll lock up. Just slide out the back when you're done. Sure thing. Oh, and Kyle? Yes, Mr. Kirby? Take out the bathroom trash before you go. Smells like crap in there.
He grunted and sauntered off into the parking lot like a warthog. I gave him the middle finger as he sped off in his Land Rover. The hate I had for this job was unmeasurable. I quickly finished the mopping and made my way back to the restroom. I opened the door and was smacked in the face with the smell of something vile. I plugged my nose and gathered the bags from the bins, holding them at arm's length as I ran out the back door and into the alleyway. I tossed them over the dumpster wall and danced up and down, shaking out my arms, willing the putrid stench off me. It smelled so bad that the bricks would cry out from the horror if they could. People are disgusting, I thought as I headed back inside. At least the night was over. Time to go home to my girl. I daydreamed about the little tattoo that let down the small of her back as I shrugged off my apron at the coat rack. I was just about to flip the lights off when they began to flicker overhead. The LED panels pulsed and strobed in a way I'd never seen before. It was almost eerie. But just as soon as they had started, they suddenly stopped.
Weird,
I whispered. I reached out for the light switch again when I heard a tapping on the window. I turned to my left and nearly jumped out of my skin when I saw the face of a devil pressed against the storefront glass.
Can you help me?
A voice pleaded from under the red rubber.
Jesus, you nearly scared me to death. The store is closed.
I replied, holding my chest in an attempt to steady my heart.
Please, I'm lost.
Must be some kid who got separated from his parents.
How can you be lost? This is like the smallest town in the Midwest.
I chuckled.
Please, can I come inside? I'm scared.
Yeah, sure, kid. Hold on.
I walked to the sliding door and twisted the lock and gave it a shove to open it manually.
Thank you.
The kid sniffled from under the mask as he stepped inside.
No problemo, little dude. You want to call your parents or...
I shifted on my heels, not really sure what to do in the situation.
Yes, please.
All right. Head right up those stairs and you'll see a phone on the desk. Pick it up and dial your parents. But make it quick, will ya? It's getting late.
I winked reassuringly at the boy in the devil costume.
Okay.
He giggled as he ran up the steps into Mr. Kirby's office. Man, what a night. I sighed, running my hand through my hair as I leaned against the entrance glass. The cool touch felt good on the nape of my neck.
I just want to go home,
I groaned under my breath. I could see shadows twist and lurch up in the office. Hopefully his parents picked up and drove like mad to get here and collect their kid. I had better things to do than sit all night at the hillbilly grocery store in this god-forsaken town.
Hey kid, any luck?
I shouted. No response.
Kid?
I called. Nothing. A loud smack hit the glass behind my head, causing me to fall forward onto the floor. I caught myself at the last second and crawled behind the service counter, nearly pissing my pants. I took a deep breath and slowly raised my head to peer over the register.
Gemma?
I cried. She was doubled over in laughter on the curb outside, pointing at me through the window. I cursed her up and down before sliding the door open once more.
What are you doing here?
I demanded, scowling.
What? You're not happy to see me?
She grinned, reaching for my hand.
Well, yeah, of course, but you scared the hell out of me.
I scolded.
Ah, come on. Just a bit of Halloween fun.
She pulled me into a kiss. Her lips were soft. They melted away my anger in an instant.
I came because you were so late. Come on, let's go home. Dinner's ready. I can't. There's a kid here. Why? What kid?
She furrowed her brow.
He's in the office calling his parents. Said he got lost. I guess while trick-or-treating. Oh no, poor thing. Yeah, he's using the phone in the office. Let me go see if he got a hold of his parents.
I took a few steps when the lights suddenly went out, causing Gemma to leap towards me and squeeze my arm. Thankfully, the emergency panel stayed lit, giving off just enough light to see.
It's fine. The lights have been acting weird for some reason. Wait here and I'll go get the kid.
I squeezed Gemma's hand reassuringly and then trotted up the steps into the office. The desk lamp was turned on its side, and the phone was hanging off the hook. The dial tone beeped from the earpiece. I picked it up and placed it back on the receiver.
Hey kid, you in here?
I asked, but he was nowhere to be seen. I looked under the desk. Nothing.
What the hell?
Suddenly, a scream pierced through the silence from inside the store.
Gemma!
I scrambled down the steps and sprinted back to where I'd left her. I was rounding the corner of the service counter when I slipped in something wet, causing me to go spiraling into a shelf of candy bars. Kit Kats and Snickers flooded the aisle as I tumbled over the shelf, hitting my head against the floor. My vision swam. I struggled to gather myself to stand. Why was it so wet? I raised my hand to my face. My fingers were dripping with crimson. The blood was warm and sticky as I rolled my thumb across my palm. Why is there blood? It took a moment for it to register, but it had to be hers. My heart thundered in my chest.
Gemma? Gemma, where are you?
I called. There was no answer. I started running down the aisles in a panic, searching for her. Aisle after aisle, but nothing. Flour, sugar, chips, bread, but no Gemma. I spilled out into the meat section next to the deli counter and skidded to a dead stop. The boy in the devil costume stood under a flickering emergency light. The front of his red suit dripped with blood.
What did you do?
I croaked.
I'm going to offer you a chance to choose, Kyle.
His voice was deeper now, no longer childish.
What?
I stuttered.
Blood for blood. You can offer yourself to me, a sacrifice saving her. Or I can take Gemma and leave. Your life or her life. Who are you? What do you mean? Where is she?
My brain was numb. I could only utter question after question. I couldn't make sense of what was happening.
You know who I am. Choose.
I stared at him, dumbstruck. What was once a child was now a monster. He was still small like a boy, but now his presence felt enormous, like a dark shadow that filled the entire store. His energy pressed against the walls, threatening to shatter them, a pressure I felt in my bones.
Choose now, Kyle. Her. Take her.
I fell to my knees, sobbing. I was a coward. The fear overcame me, and I chose to save myself. Suddenly, Gemma floated into view from behind the meat counter.
Oh my God!
I cried. Her eyes were wide and shook with fear as she hovered a few feet from the ground. She tried to scream, but only blood streamed out from her mouth. She gargled on it, choked on it, desperate to beg for help. She never took her eyes off of me as she was lowered into his arms.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I wept.
Done.
He growled. The lights went out completely. Total darkness, but only for a moment. And when they came back on, they were gone. I pulled my knees to my chest and wept for hours until I finally succumbed to sleep. Mr. Kirby found me balled up by the deli counter the next morning. After he prodded me awake, I frantically babbled on about Gemma and the devil, which prompted him to call the police. The sheriff's department arrived soon after and took my statement, but showed me there was no blood anywhere to be found. The cameras hadn't caught a thing all night, and there was no sign of a struggle anywhere. After they calmed me down enough, I sat on the bench at the entrance with a blanket over my shoulders. The shock and disbelief buried me in an avalanche. I was numb, but I could hear them talking about me from the office. The deputy suggested that I'd been on drugs. Mr. Kirby agreed with them and threw in the fact that he'd never liked me for good measure.
Blood for blood. Choose.
His voice echoed in my mind. I'm so sorry, Gemma. You want to know what real horror is? It's not running from a man with a knife, or being swallowed up by a gelatinous glob as it slowly disintegrates your skin. No, it's being married for 15 years to someone who hated you. Well, maybe hate is a strong word, but it certainly seemed like she loathed my entire existence. My presence was a burden, and she made it well known with every sigh and eye roll. Our relationship might have been in tatters, but she'd never let the public know it. According to her Instagram, we were a happy couple. The page was littered with fake smiles and half hugs. It was the only time she touched me anymore, for a photo op. She was the elementary school principal after all. She had an image to uphold. We were going to the school staff Halloween party, just like we did every year. I sat quietly, watching as she slipped on her Wonder Woman costume. She was lean and trim. Her legs were fantastic. Watching her stirred a hunger in me that hadn't been quenched in years. And she knew it. She liked torturing me with flaunting her body but never letting me touch it. It was some sick game that she got off on. Control. She loved control.
Look at me or I'll cut your eyes out.
Shh, not today. No voices today.
Let me touch you or I'll wear your skin.
Shut up! I screamed internally. The voice in my head was getting harder to control. I pushed it down deep to a hidden place.
You ready?
She huffed as she adjusted her skirt.
Yup,
I replied. She turned to look at me. A deep frown crept across her face.
maybe we should have gone as salt and pepper like I'd originally thought.
Why?
I looked down at my costume.
You just don't have the build to pull off Superman.
She walked over and pinched my love handles through the blue fabric.
I've been going to the gym.
I blushed in embarrassment.
You should go more.
She let out a deep sigh.
Oh well, let's go.
The car ride was a quiet one. Classic rock hummed over the speakers of our sedan as Sarah texted God knows who from the passenger seat. She didn't have anything to say to me, and maybe it was better that way. The voice would stay quiet if we were quiet. I ran through my mental steps the therapist had told me to practice to ensure I stayed in control. I always made a mental note to lay off the snacks. If I lost a few pounds, maybe she would notice. Maybe she would like me better.
Ah, we're late. Look, everyone is already here. We should have left earlier.
She groaned, throwing the door open as soon as I parked. She didn't wait for me and quickly scurried into the house. Shouts and laughter rang out from the party as she walked in. When I finally made it through the door, I saw Sarah making her rounds, hugging each and every man in the room. It should have bothered me, but it didn't. It only made my heart ache. I envied them. My promise to avoid snacks was short-lived as I found myself hovering near the chips and guacamole, eating my feelings again. Sarah danced and mingled with her coworkers as I shoved chip after chip into my mouth. She caught my gaze once from across the room, but quickly turned to converse with someone else. Classic avoidance. Why didn't she love me? What had I done to make her despise me so?
You should kill her.
The voice reverberated through my brain, drowning out the music from the party.
What?
I croaked.
You should kill her.
The voice was so loud this time, it sounded as if someone had whispered it in my ear. I spun around quickly to see if someone was behind me, but there was no one else in the kitchen. Just me. 10, 9, 8. I started my countdown to stifle the voice.
She deserves to die, Thomas.
7, 6, 5,
She doesn't love you. She never has.
4, 3, 2,
Kill her.
1. I squeezed my eyes shut and took a deep breath, just like the doc had taught me. I opened them. The lights and sounds of the party came rushing back. I sighed in relief. A woman in a pumpkin dress waltzed through the kitchen to grab a drink. She poured herself some punch from the ladle and turned to smile at me.
You should totally kill her, Thomas. Excuse me?
I stammered.
Yeah, just take her to the bedroom and choke her until she stops breathing. Come on, it'll be fun.
She winked. I shook my head and fell back against the counter, knocking the dip container onto the tile floor.
What did you say?
I cried. Suddenly, Chad, the athletic director, popped into the kitchen.
Hey, are you guys talking about Thomas and how he should murder his wife?
He let out a hearty laugh.
Oh my God, yes! I was just telling Thomas to take her to the bedroom and choke the life out of her.
The woman in the pumpkin dress squeezed Chad's arm as they cackled in unison.
No, no, no. Take her out to my shed. There are so many tools out there. Ooh, use the shears. I just sharpened them last weekend. They'd take her head clean off.
More laughter.
What's going on?
I was dumbfounded and a little afraid.
See, they want you to do it, Thomas. Everyone wants you to kill her. No,
I whispered.
do it.
The voice demanded.
Yeah, come on, do it, Thomas.
The woman taunted.
Man up. Go murder your wife.
Chad echoed. The lights spun overhead. I felt dizzy. I thought I was going to pass out.
Kill her! Kill her! Kill her!
The entire party sang in unison, staring at me through the open kitchen.
What's going on?
I screeched. Sarah moved to the front of the group and came to stand in front of me.
Come on, Thomas, just end it. I can take it. Please, I want you to.
My wife took me by the hand and led me to the bathroom. I was so confused. My body trembled in terror. I could hear the crowd chanting as we closed the door.
Kill her! Kill her! Kill her!
Sarah grabbed the sides of my face and brought me into a deep kiss. Then she plugged the sink and filled it up to the top with warm water.
Kill me, Thomas. It's the only way I'll ever love you. Do it for me.
Her eyes glistened with yearning.
Ow! Hold my head under the water. Come on, it'll be fun.
She winked and hovered her face an inch over the surface of the sink basin. Everyone wanted me to do it. She said she would finally love me if I did it.
Kill her, Thomas. Do it now.
I palmed the back of her head and forcefully shoved her face into the water. She struggled and thrashed against me, but I knew this is what she truly wanted. And somewhere deep down, I wanted it too. Tears streamed down my face as I laughed and laughed. I couldn't stop laughing. Dear God, this was amazing. She finally stopped moving, and I let go. Sarah fell to the floor in a heap. She was dead, but somehow smiling. I bent down, kissed her forehead, and burst out from the restroom.
I did it, everyone! I did it!
A dozen people in costumes froze in place. Someone paused the music.
Did what? Are you okay? Where's Sarah?
Chad took a step towards me, his brow furrowed with concern.
I did what you wanted me to do. What you all wanted me to do. She's dead. I finally killed her.
The entire crowd gasped, and Chad pushed me to the side, sprinting into the bathroom.
Oh my God! Call an ambulance!
He cried. I strolled merrily out to the front porch and sat in a wooden rocking chair.
Good job, Thomas. She loves you now. Everyone loves you.
I laughed. I couldn't stop laughing, even as the police showed up and put me in handcuffs. The laughter never stopped. The joy was just too immense to keep inside. The laughter was eternal, and so now was the love everyone had for me. She loved me. They all did, and they always would.